one of the most popular bands of the 2000s. Does their debut album hold up 25 years later? Welcome to Blenderstyle. On this episode, System of a Down, self-titled, released in 1998. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So I think we all heard this band when this came out, System of a Down. Your brother was way into this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone played System of a Down. The radio played System of a Down. And it's like this bizarre, very original, I'm going to say it's new metal. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
It has like new metal elements. And as we're doing this show more, I'm realizing that genres don't really mean a whole lot. But that's where I'm going to lump it. And it's fucking...
So Korn's new metal.
Yeah, totally.
This is influenced by Korn.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would agree, new metal.
For sure. So I didn't really love System of a Down when it first came out. But this is like a very popular band. I think they have a big fan base. And I thought we might get some views, so I picked it.
Oh.
Yeah, this is a shameful,
Really?
shameless
Shameful
pick.
plug
Really?
to up our view
And
count.
I was like, all right, maybe I'll revisit it, see if I like it better than when I first listened to it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you've never really been a fan?
Not really. No. I
Okay.
like some songs come out, like on Toxicity's great. Someone told me you gotta listen to Steal this album, so I listen to all of it. So I'm familiar with lots of their music. I just never
Got into him.
got into it. And the first album, I think I've listened to this once when it came out, and then not really much after that. So that's why I picked it.
You were in your late teenage angst of only listening to black metal when this came out.
Death metal.
Or yeah, death metal.
Yeah, just nothing but
And you're
Cannibal
like,
Corpse.
I don't want to listen to anything that has the word
No, I
new in
missed a lot, dude. 'Cause
Well, and like you said, it was pretty big, you know what I mean? It was kind of one of those things that a lot of these bands were getting big and it gets gimmicky, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you try to stay away from some of that type of stuff, sometimes.
So I found a demo for System of a Down way back in the day when I think we were using LimeWire or something to download music. Not technically legally, but I found a demo and I listened to it and I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool, but never gave him a chance. And then a few years later when the album came out, my brother's like, oh, have you heard that band System of Down? I was like, you mean System of a Down? He's like, no, it's a completely different band than the one you listened to.
Right.
And I was like, no, I don't think so. But then he had me check it out and I was like, oh, okay, they got a lot better. Or the production quality got a lot better. But I was kind of with you. It took me a while to get into this. I didn't like it when it first came out. It wasn't until it started getting played like crazy on the radio that the songs started earworming their way into my head.
They're
and I started
very
listening to them.
catchy.
But my thing about them that always bugged me about System of a Down was the political statements, not necessarily in the music, but outside the music. There was
the vibe around the band.
I see, yeah.
There was this vibe, this kind of, it's not a bad thing. It was just always kind of in your face,
We're not here for fun and rock and roll.
Yeah,
We're here
and it kind of took, because you listen
It's
to
like
the
homework
music.
and you feel bad every time you
Yeah, well,
get
because
to-
you listen to the music and you're like, oh, this is fun and
If you go
energetic.
see
and
him, it's
stuff.
at a rally.
And then you watch interviews with them and it's like, are you guys even having fun with this, or is this all just a political movement? Always kind of bugged me, but it doesn't distract from the music. I think the music's great. There's some really cool guitar parts and
and they do all this political crap, and then they're
Yeah.
fucking fucked up on drugs.
yeah, exactly.
I'm
Yeah,
what are you doing?
I mean, I kind of like it.
Be a metal band, dude. Just
Yeah, I get that. But also I think within being metal or art and artists, you express certain things, and
yeah. I mean, you use
real
your
life things. And
platform.
I do like that they kind of bring attention and awareness to human suffering going on that people don't really talk about, what I mean?
for sure. It doesn't
Which is cool, but I mean, I totally get what you're saying. It's the same thing with Rage Against the Machine, right? It's
Yeah.
Rage Against the Machine was sick, but after a while, the political thing to me,
kind of took over.
Yeah, and it's
It's like Roger Waters when he plays live. He has all this political shit, and you're just like, bro.
Or watching Morrissey and he's pissed because they're cooking meat.
Or it's too fucking cold outside or something.
When this came out, I know it gets clumped into the new metal thing, like you said, but I feel like at the time, there wasn't a lot of music that had these crazy tempo shifts and bridges to bridge two completely separate tempos together in the mainstream music
It's
world.
all those like Armenian rhythms and stuff they bring to it.
Well, yeah, just these weird, like, you know, you'll be going at a set timing and then it just completely shifts, and the bridges that they do to get to that are just crazy.
It's like Sweet Pea, like the first 2 minutes, you've already had like 3 moods. And it's way quick, dude.
Exactly.
They don't like, there's no sections of like guitar playing. Everything's like very short. Like they're doing things 4 times and then on to the next thing.
Yeah,
They're definitely playing on the, you know, like we're loud, we're soft, we're
That's what's like new metal
sounding,
about.
and then you know, we're this or that. They're definitely bouncy. They bounce everywhere. But what I really love about some of this stuff is some of actually the simpler kind of things. You know, the simple riffing that he does, and like the like slower parts and everything. You know, when it's not being so crazy.
Yeah,
I think that there's a lot of good ideas that are in these songs, and I think that's what it is. I think they're just like, oh, we could do this and then do this, and then it's kind of at random. And I feel like the randomness works, and then the randomness sometimes doesn't work in this.
And I kind of agree with what
like
you're
the
saying.
parts don't fit together.
Yeah, they were just like, well, we're gonna make this work because it's weird.
See, I thought the songwriting's pretty good on this. Like, I feel like it's wacky and weird, but a lot of the times they're trying to be serious. You know what I mean? They're like, this song's like emotional. We're going to present it to you like it's super emotional.
Yeah.
But we're like a wacky band you know what I mean? And sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes I think it works really well.
I agree with you 100%. And I kind of like, especially with some of these bands that kind of happened around this time, like Korn, their first album's really awesome. It's really great. But if you ask me, that's not the best Korn album.
Yeah.
So like this with System of a Down, this is their first thing. It's really awesome, but there's some filler there for me.
Oh, for
I
sure.
feel like this band actually got a little better with albums after this, to be truthfully honest. I feel like
think a
this
lot of
album
people
gets
agree.
a lot of praise, and I love this album because it's changed. You know, it was definitely different. It weirded me out. You know?
Exactly.
And if you weird me out, I'm on. You know,
Right.
but now that I'm older and I listen to it, it doesn't weird me out as much. And it just seems kind of random.
So-
But the parts that do work, I love it.
So to kind of touch on what you were saying about like this was a good outing and stuff, but they got better with the later albums. I kind of feel you, because one of my notes on this is the slower parts where it kind of opens up seem to work a little bit better than the heavier parts on this album, because I feel like it needs a second guitar. And it wasn't until the later albums where they started dubbing like the additional guitar stuff in there to really fill the sound out. So the heavier parts feel heavier and more thoroughly fleshed together, where on this one, a lot of the heavier parts are missing something in the back almost.
So like even like one of their like last biggest singles, BYOB, Bring Your Own Bomb, like that song is sick. And I feel like when they really make those connections with this randomness that they do, it really works. And I think they got better at it with time, and this one is a little flat at parts.
Yeah, I mean, at the time it was great.
Rick Rubin produced it, which is pretty sick.
That is pretty cool.
It's sick. The production's pretty killer, dude. It is very bass heavy. Like you listen to it on really good headphones. Like, it just is fat,
when
dude.
this came out, I had
This would
amp and
rattle your
subs
shit,
in my car, and like this and Fear Factory Obsolete, because there's that really heavy bass hit
Bro,
on
I
Shock.
love that sound.
At
Yes.
the beginning of Shock, and now every time I listen to it, I'm like, where did it go?
Yeah,
It's
right.
not there.
It's like the litmus test for your
But yeah,
next...
I remember like me and Russ and like everybody who had a system, this was like one of heavy rotation, because just the bass would rattle the shit out of
Dude,
everything.
for sure. This is definitely like the first time I ever heard it in somebody's car with a system. You know, I was like, this is the...
You're like, this is a different album.
Oh, dude.
And see, that's another thing that kind of bugs me about this is it really does depend on how you're listening to it, because there's a whole different energy. Like if you listen to it in like a car, like an entry level car with just like the 4 speakers or whatever in the stereo, and there's no low end or anything, it's really kind of a
Doesn't hit
higher
as hard.
pitched tinny kind of sound. But then you get something that's filled out or whatever, like a home stereo or some good headphones or something, and it's a completely different album, which is crazy to think. And that's one of the things that kind of bugs me about this is like Rick Rubin did a great job of producing this, but I feel like but I feel like the mix suffered a little bit.
He was doing that shit all the time, bro.
And that's what I was gonna say. In the late '90s, that was kind of the
you had to be loud as fuck. Yeah.
You had to be right under the peak. And
This is '98. That's what was going on.
Yeah.
Dude.
I like a lot of songs off this, dude. But where it kind of goes wrong, I'm going to name a couple. Like, just so I can kind of explain where I'm coming from, right?
Okay.
I'm
Right.
kind of like saying some bad shit about this album, but it's a really great. It's a
not
good
like as an album as a whole.
Exactly. So like Soil, I feel is really sloppy. What is it? Mind, I feel like it's a filler. What is it? CUBErt or
CUBErt, yeah.
Yeah. Are they trying to annoy me? Really? Like in the song?
Yeah, dude, it's kind of annoying.
And Darts, it's just cliche for the time, kind of. Like I just feel like there's like fillers within this. I like 9 songs out of 13.
It's pretty
That's
good.
still pretty good. But I kind of get where you're coming from, because when I listened to this, when I found a demo from them a long time ago, I don't remember. It was maybe 93 or 4, maybe 95 when I found it. When did this come out? This came out in
98.
98. So yeah, it might have been 95 or 96 then. And I feel like a lot of the stuff on this, or some of the stuff on this, was from that demo, if I remember right. And it was it does feel like filler, like really old and not really cohesive with the rest of what's on here.
Kind of like a band jamming or something. It's like,
yeah, or like, hey, we need to have so many tracks. Let's just throw these.
Well, and I think they were
on.
trying to find their sound, probably.
Oh, for sure. Like one of my notes is also that the backup vocals on this are really low, and it's in the later albums where what's their
homeboy Darren. Yeah.
Darren actually brings his vocals up and actually does some cohesive backup vocals, and
Yeah.
and his voice is really
he's very much this band too.
yeah, and
Yeah,
his
he like
voice,
writes all the music. I
and
think.
his voice is very awkward, but it fits the music
For sure.
perfectly, and I feel like it almost fits better than Serge's voice.
Does
on a lot of
Serge's
stuff.
voice, like when he does the little high pitched garbage, does that bug you guys?
Yeah, he's kind of really not my favorite part of the band. I think my favorite part of the band is the band and the guitar player.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like
personally.
I feel like
Drums are killer, bro, on this.
Oh,
yeah,
dude.
I mean, for
Homeboy's
sure.
so good.
yeah, and the tone on the guitar and the bass and everything is really good. I feel like it might be mean to say, but like there's always this, especially now, there's this kind of infighting amongst this band of like, oh, we'll do live shows, but we're not going to record because nobody could decide. Or from the interviews,
Annoying.
everybody wants to do one style, but Serge doesn't want to do another style or
Right.
that style. Just
And then he does
They
the
should
solo
just-
stuff.
They should
Yeah.
honestly just make another band.
yeah, exactly.
They should just make another band.
Yeah.
And people would fucking dig it. You
Yeah.
don't need the lead singer. But what I do also respect about this band is like I said, I like that, like, when they see some suffering and some shit going on,
They call it out.
they call it out, and like they got together and they did it was
the
like an EP.
benefit
yeah.
songs or whatever.
And was it 2 or 3?
I think it was 2.
And I thought they were
were good
came
songs.
together and made some cool songs, and nothing but respect to System of a Down. I think they were definitely influential around this time.
Mm-hmm.
And like let people be a little bit more wacky with things, that it was okay.
Yeah.
But for sure, I think there's some filler and stuff in it, and that's why I give it a 4.3. I think it's
nice,
I
dude.
think it's a really good record. I think people should listen to it. I think it definitely was a gateway to a lot of my friends and other people, and still to this day, getting into like heavy music.
That's in my notes, dude. Gateway band for a lot of people.
Yeah.
My coworker was saying, like, don't trash it too hard, because it's like that was a gateway band for me that got me.
Yeah.
So it's like sacred to a lot of people, which makes it kind of like difficult to review it.
Well, and kind of along that gateway band thing, this was kind of one of those things where they weren't marketed as this super heavy band. They were marketed as like a radio friendly band.
Yeah,
But
on the
then they
radio.
had those benefits of the heavier stuff, like you said, to bring people in, and kind of this gateway into heavier music or just different stuff, or even just a gateway to voice your opinion on things and not be ashamed of
I
it, which
think
was
also-
kind of weird.
I think also like it's weird now. Like I think there's like a shift in music where people are now playing for like they're writing songs for like big bands are writing songs for festivals, right? They're like,
Mhm.
oh, this would go off at a festival, this song, right? And like this is recorded to be like this would go off in a venue, like
Like a small.
a small intimate place. Like, even though they're a big band, this is a very much live music and being like together with your this still feels like the metal community to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure.
I would so go see System of a Down and find like-minded people and stuff, so I couldn't bash it that much.
Well, and this band still kills it live, which is cool as hell.
I've never seen him, dude. I wish.
Oh, okay.
I
They
wish.
still kill it live, and they still have a huge following, which is cool as hell. I mean, for not putting an album out in so long, it's kind of cool to see a band that's still relevant.
They still
I
pop
just
up in
don't want to
feeds.
hear about the because when you do hear about them now, it's the shit talking stuff.
Exactly, and that's
It's
kind of
never
one of
about
the
their music
downfalls.
because they don't make anymore.
Well, they'll, like Nathan said, they'll do a benefit here or there, or a song here or there, and those songs were really like kind of old school sounding. And it's like, if you guys are cool doing a couple songs as a benefit thing that are still the style that the rest of the band wants to do, why can't you just put your stuff aside, do an album with this, and throw a couple songs that the other dude wants to do style? I mean, this is kind of a vehicle now for doing what they want to do. I think I just watched an interview with Blink-182, and they all said like that we realize now that our music transcends the genre that we are, and we can pretty much come out with any style of music we want under that label or under that banner of Blink-182, and people are going to accept it because they understand where the band is. And I think System of a Down's one of those bands. They could do a heavy song. 100%. They could do something that's completely off the wall.
I think we're expecting it.
Well, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. There was never an expectation for this band to be like super heavy or super light. And so for them to fight about what style of music they want to do, throw it all on.
I don't know. Maybe it might not even be music though. Maybe it might be the way they were doing things. Because I mean, like towards the end, they did like the double album kind of thing, which I personally thought was actually good. I remember some of my friends being like, hating it. Go back and listen to this stuff. I think it's honestly really good music. I mean, definitely it's like hit or miss still then, but like I really think they wrote some good stuff together, and I think that there's probably, what's sad is they're probably still a big fat keg of music there that is just not going to ever get made.
That's a bummer.
Which is crazy. So I mean, I gave it a 4.6. I love the energy. I love the entry into this. This was a cool introduction to System of a Down. There is some shortcomings on it that they really picked up on and got better as they went on. But I mean, just the only thing that bugs me about this is the after the band stuff. It's not the musical stuff, because I could understand their political statements and stuff, and it's not being forced upon you. It's more of an afterthought. The songs are about it. You don't notice it unless you read into it. But then after the band is done, there's all this crap going on in the background, this noise, and it just annoys me.
You guys obviously love this, giving it 4 pluses. I didn't love it as much. I give it a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay.
There's some bangers on here for sure, and moments, and like I know the whole thing. It's very memorable and catchy, and I like that about it. It's fucking goofy in a way that's like not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Like his vocals kind of ruin it for me. Sometimes it's really good, and sometimes I'm like, what, dude? It's like annoying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like what I do appreciate about is how much contrast is in this music. It's like high, it's low. It's this emotion, it's that emotion.
It's fast, it's
slow.
like
serious, it's annoying. You know what I mean? It's like everything all at once. It's just so like, for me, it just kind of makes that rating go to like a 3.5 out of 5 for me, guys.
I think that's pretty good rating.
I think it's pretty good, especially considering that you didn't even like this band when you first listened to it.
I think I like Toxicity and other albums better.
I agree. I think they're a step up in production quality and
sounds more commercial,
craftsmanship.
maybe.
Great debut album though, man.
Oh, for sure.
And it has debut album like feels on it. Like it's bizarre as shit. Like Gojira's first album, you're like, this is different than what they ended up being. But I like seeing like the roots of it though.
For sure. This is what I got to give them props also, because like System of a Down is like from a poem that the guitar player wrote, and I think in it said Victims of a Down, and they changed it to System of a Down because they wanted to be closer to Slayer.
That's fucking rad.
In the catalog.
I remember that. Yeah, that's fucking rad.
That's they thought about shit like this, and that's what's cool about So
when you're like flipping through the CDs, you go to Slayer and find System of a Down.
System of a Down.
That's pretty funny. I think I'm too dumb to get it, I think is really what it is. If that's true, let me know in the comments. We are Blenderstyle, and that was System of a Down, self-titled.
Like, subscribe, leave a comment.
The devil went down to Georgia.